Morning, everyone. I say that with a kind heart. It's beautiful. The sun's shining out there. Welcome to WBCB 1490 and 107.3 on the dial. I'm Tom Mellon, your host, Jolly Esposito. We have a very special guest for you today, the Honorable Joe Hogan. Joe, a lot of history that we can share about Joe's family and the neighborhood, some things that are of political interest for Joe, for you, to keep the community much safer. I want to thank Paul Muller, the sponsor of our show. Do you know?
Paul's a great guy.
Great guy, right?
Yep.
Paul Muller, who has 3
Oh,
dealerships.
glad you said that.
Yes, well, that's a good thing, right? Often he'll come walking through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bree will tell
Just
you.
with him last night. So,
Were you really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, with Fred?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, Fred Herron, and
Yep.
yeah, how about that? It's a small world.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to thank Paul. He's very altruistic with his endeavors, making sure that the community receives the charitable efforts that he can provide, and he does it all the time with a kind, warm heart. I've been here for, I can't believe it, 16 years going on with the Heroes Program as a retired law enforcement officer. But Paul not only sponsors this show, but he also sponsors several other shows that are of keen interest for our listeners. In fact, Joe, we sit back, myself and Charlie, when we bring the district attorney on, Jennifer Shorn.
Yep.
Prior to Jennifer, obviously, who's now the judge, Matt Weintraub.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, the stories that they come in with,
Yeah.
the detectives, when they can talk about cases that were already prosecuted, so it can be released to the public.
You think stuff like that doesn't happen in Bucks County, and then you're hearing it from the top law enforcement officials, and you kind of get
Cold
a little
cases are great.
horrified about it, or
Wow.
some of the cold cases.
Yes.
So
And gentleman who you were with last night, you'll be with today, our sheriff of Bucks County, Fred Herron.
Yep.
We do a Behind the Badge, that's how it's themed, show every other month with Fred. And then we do the other month's show with Jennifer Shorn,
okay.
and that's Justice for All. So we have a lot of good.
You have a theme going on.
Got a theme
there.
going on
Yeah.
with several shows, but we're happy to have you, Joe.
Yeah, happy to be here.
We're going to be talking a lot to Mr. Hogan here, and it goes back my recollection with the Hogan family here in the Bucks County region is begins with your father, because I've been friendly with him for many, many years. God rest his soul. He's looking down on us today, I'm sure. My brother-in-law, as I mentioned, was a very close friend. You remember some of the remnants of that house over on Willow Avenue, right there in Langhorne Gables. Joe Hogan, Joe English, they served gallantly back in the Vietnam era in the late 60s, Vietnam. Both are no longer with us, but spiritually they are.
I'm going to make a public announcement here. Pat Weinling may be upset it's not on her show, but so my father passed away last year on October 24th, and my wife found out on Friday that she needs to be induced on October 25th.
Really?
So we are actually
real close
welcoming our first child a year and a day after my father passed away. So
How about that?
Congratulations.
life does go on one way or the other.
Life starts over again that
Yeah.
day.
It sure does. Well,
Yeah.
Pat, unfortunately for you, I had the opportunity
Sorry,
to
Pat.
get this revelation in.
Gotta share some of those scoops.
That's right.
Yeah.
Same radio station. So
Yeah, you can share it again.
And I'm sure Pat will be talking to you about it as well,
Yeah.
so that some of the listeners that are not in today but may be listening to Pat, they'll be hearing it for the first time. There's a consolation for you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to let Pat give us a little rundown on his,
Joe?
how he got, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes, that's all right. We're
I
talking
got
about Pat.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
How he got into it and all. So before
Let's
we
do
get
that.
started.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
How you got involved politically, and some of the keen interest that you have for the community, which I know they'll want to hear.
Sure. So, I had been involved for many years. I think my father had ran for mayor of Bristol Township in, I think it was 2005. So I was in high school at the time and just kind of got, very involved at that point. Always had an interest kind of in government and politics, as like a lot of young people do. After I graduated from Penn State, I volunteered on a campaign. We unfortunately weren't successful, but very competitive. And I started working for our former Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick. for quite a few years. It was a great experience. I was here in Bucks County. I was in Washington D.C. After that, briefly in the private sector, and then I worked for our county's redevelopment authority. It's economic development agency. We try to clean up contaminated sites or remediate contaminated buildings for reuse purposes, things like that. And then in 2022, former Senator Tommy Tomlinson announced he was not going to run for re-election. Frank Ferry, state representative at
Sure.
the time, said he was going to run for Senate, and that he, asked me. He said I should consider running for his seat in the state house, and here we are 2 years later. So we've been focused. My team and I am the only legislator in Bucks County that has 2 full-time, fully staffed offices. So that means that on either side of the district community, you're pretty close to an office that can
Yeah.
fully serve you with state-related issues. And we've been focused on a couple of things. The one big one has been school safety. The last couple of years, we have some pretty good success in that space as well. But I've also worked pretty aggressively to try to educate the community about various types of financial exploitation, scams, things like that, to protect people, keep their money in their account where it belongs. There's some things you can do from legislation. I'm sure law enforcement deals with this all the time.
Sure.
But education's the best medicine for something like this. You fall for the trick, and unfortunately you wire $5,000-$10,000 that you were saving for your property taxes. The odds of getting that money back are next to zero.
It's horrible.
Oh,
It really is.
Who's that? Is that me?
That's you, Charles. There you go. But no, you're right. When these people unfortunately fall victim, it's very difficult for them to get any type of a retrieval.
Yeah, and law enforcement will tell you that. I mean, and there's another aspect of this too. I mean, you could sign your power of attorney over to somebody. We were talking earlier about
Yes.
illness and disease. Sign power of attorney or limited power of attorney, and then somebody's just unscrupulously, bleeding the account dry, and that's something that unfortunately happens way too often.
Yeah,
And-
it's a
and
commonality.
you can ask our DA, Jen Shorn, about it. I'm sure she's prosecuted those types of cases before, and there's ways to prevent that. There's ways to educate people about it, to be alert about it, and trust but verify, right?
Yes, well-
You can trust people, but you should also be able to verify
That
what they're
most
doing.
importantly.
We had, when we were police officers, we had seminars. We used to go to seniors. We had. Are you familiar with the pigeon drop? It's a scam
No.
where they find the wallet or something. They say, "Well, just go to the bank. We both put up half the money." It was called the pigeon drop.
Okay.
We had a seminar for the senior citizens on the pigeon drop. And lo and behold, did you know that one of the people that were at that meeting fell for the pigeon drop, and that week?
Wow.
And we said, we just told you not to
Yeah.
Get involved.
But when greed gets into a picture, it destroys your brain. So like you say, there's so many scams a day, especially with the
Well, the big one now, and this is coming from law enforcement too, is these romance scams. And what's happening on social media, especially, is somebody will randomly message an account and say, you look very beautiful or handsome or whatever it is, and come up with a story. They could be a colonel trapped in Japan and they just need $5,000 to get out, or no colonel is stuck in Japan. I can guarantee you that, and they're not going to randomly message somebody on Facebook. But it's unfortunately, it continues to happen, and again, education is the best thing. We've done a lot of different events. We've done mailings out to people announcing these types of things. Anytime SEPTA or PennDOT or the Turnpike or PICO, any of these organizations are alerting it, we're trying to notify the community as well, because even if it's $100, it's money that could be better spent elsewhere. I'd rather $100 in my gas tank than just disappearing and going.
Well, they do that to 100 people. It adds up.
Yep.
It's incredible, and it's the good nature of many people who fall victim to these crimes, that they want to trust and they want to believe.
Yeah.
And these culprits out there, they're aware of it. These professionals, they're very good at it. They're very good at convincing people. Joe, you look at the highlights of this area here and how it continues to develop. You look at other areas for example, our neighbor in Philadelphia, uh, so many pockets are just being crippled with criminal activity. And on one of our shows, we were talking about this, that we're right next door, contiguous to Philadelphia, and how easy it is for crime to come up here and infiltrate and take advantage. 95, the accessibility, and
Well, with Trenton too, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse. We've had a
It's
lot of
another one.
incidences now where people are either fleeing to Trenton and it's causing issues on Route 1, or they're coming in from Trenton, creating manhunts. I mean, the last year or two in Lower Bucks County, we've had a lot of high-profile, uh, no, I would say lockdowns or
Sure.
shelter in place or other things like that. And you know, it's a blessing and curse where we live here in Lower Bucks County. It's great infrastructure, helps us get to places, you know, like it or love it. The development comes with some sort of benefits and a lot of other externalities, but it also means that people can get here easily and take advantage of the good-natured people of Lower Bucks County.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I just saw, actually, I was sitting in my car ahead of time. The FBI crime statistics actually were increased. You know, a couple weeks ago, it was crime was down in, I forget which year, 2021, but a report is, I haven't read the whole report, but it was saying that the numbers were actually stealth updated, and violent crime was up like 4% in 2022 or something. And whether or not that's the case, I don't, you know, statistics can say anything you want them to say. I think there is a real perception. I have it when I have conversations with people at their doors. They come into the office, that people just don't feel safe, and that's the perception.
That's the perception,
and,
right?
And when you're seeing these articles, you're seeing these reports and everything, you go on Facebook and my kid's bike was just stolen. You know, people don't feel safe when that's the case.
Exactly.
And we have to be doing more to not only prosecute crime, reduce crime, but also make people feel safe again.
That's so important. It really is. In fact, in Philadelphia, I believe that crime, it's probably more, the statistics don't really show the truth, because there's a lot of crime that occurs that have not even been reported, especially in Philadelphia. Here in Bucks County, with the police departments that we have, all the townships and boroughs, I have to believe that we're a little more disciplined and professional up here. Hate to say it, but it's the truth. When we, as aggressive as officers are up here, the facts are and the numbers are, I think, a lot more accurate than the major city like Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, again, I don't know about the accuracy of the numbers, but
Right.
I would think in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Police Department, the men and women that are patrolling the streets, they're doing the best job they can. But they're not
Absolutely.
getting the support they need, maybe from the DA.
Sure.
And you know, what kind of message are you being sent when it's basically a catch and release program?
Yes.
And we hear about that way too much.
I don't want to get into politics, but a lot of it is from the influx of some of the illegal aliens that are coming in. They're causing a lot of the crime.
Sure they are. Sure they
and,
are.
And a lot of it, you don't, between them, you don't hear it because
No,
they're
you
afraid. But they do have
They
crime
contribute.
against everybody else,
Yeah.
and that'll bring up your numbers.
Oh, that's certainly going to bring the numbers.
And like you say, we don't have enough. Philadelphia, I don't wanna-
Especially.
we have our district attorney's horrible with criminals. He has a revolving door with them. He lets them out too quick. That's my personal opinion. Now,
Yeah,
we're not here.
I'll echo that too
Yeah.
as well, being retired
Well,
law enforcement.
I feel Bucks County. We're friend. We know all the DAs here, and we're very good friends. We feel that they do like 1,000% better than what's going on in Philadelphia.
Well, our sheriff will tell you, and Bill McVeigh, the current
Great guy.
safety
we
director
like
in Ben
Bill.
Salem, 40% of arrests in Ben Salem are from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You know,
There it
and-
is.
Just
and
like you
it's-
said, they're coming through back.
Yeah, and they don't realize that they're going to be sent to jail. You know, they're not just issued a citation or something and said come back and report
Yeah.
to court. They're going to go to jail, and that's a deterrent,
Yes, it is.
and that's helping to keep the community safer. But it's also giving an opportunity. Maybe this person's involved in other crimes. Maybe once they're processed and everything, we'll be able to track them down and connect them to something else as well. So that's, you asked earlier about what some of our priorities were. Safety and crime
Safety's
is
big.
another big one. We do have some legislation, happy to talk about, that's been moving, that's been signed into law, and it's all good stuff.
Well, absolutely. We're going to take a quick station break. You're listening to State Representative Joe Hogan, and we're happy to have him here, and hopefully we can bring you back from time to time
Yeah, I'd
so
like
you
that.
share a lot of the work and the actions that you're involved with. But stay tuned. We'll return after a few moments. WBCB 1490. Let's go places.
Hi, Paul Muller here, and there's never been a better time to be part of the team. New car inventory is back. We have over 100 new Toyotas ready to drive home today with some of our most popular models available. And with a huge selection of dependable certified used Toyotas, our pre-owned departments are ready to make a deal that works for you. Plus, our award-winning service centers will have you in and out and back on the road in no time. Visit one of our 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton, or online at teamtoyota.net.
Hey, this is Jonesy. Kick off your Thursday and Friday evenings in style. Join me for an eclectic freeform mix of the hits and beyond. It's a happening, a musical journey. It's the Glenn Jones Radio Experience, right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, Thursday and Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., directly following the legendary Jerry Blavitt. Radio, the way it ought to be.
Opinions matter, and so does yours. Hi, I'm Joe Fabrizi, inviting you to join us every Monday at 1 p.m. for Opinions Matter, right here on 1490 AM WBCB. Opinions Matter is now live streamed at WBCB1490.com. We want to hear from you because your opinion does matter.
Welcome back to Let's Go Places here in the new car showroom at Team Toyota, 746 East Lincoln Highway. We're going to talk a little bit later, discussion-wise, about the program that I've been doing here for 16 years, the Heroes program, where discounts are very prevalent for our police, fire, military, medical, and our educators as well. They're all the heroes. I got to tell you a funny story, Joe. You were with speaking of the devil. Here comes Paul Muller right now, but Paul came in one day and he was talking. Your ears must have been ringing. We were just talking about
Paul.
you. Yeah, but so many times we talk about different things, and he said, I see you got education involved now with the Heroes program. So immediately I said, well, Paul, how many children did you have that you raised? He said 4. Wasn't easy. 4 boys. Oh my God, and he was sharing different stories. I said, well, the teachers have 40, 50 students, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and that's rough. All the personalities that they got to deal with, parents that they got to deal with. It's an incredible job. And he looked at me, he says, yeah, I guess we could call them heroes too as well, because they're raising our children.
Yeah, and I think everybody in America has one teacher that they would, at least one teacher they would say was a hero to them in a lot of different ways. I went to Catholic school, so we definitely had those large classrooms of 35, 40 students at a time, and to think back about how wild we were with it, they're definitely heroes. And it's a much harder time right now. My neighbors are teachers. I'm supported by teachers. I don't think we fully recovered from the pandemic yet.
No.
We didn't have social media. We didn't have phones in the classroom like they do now. All this new technology, it's probably very helpful, but also distraction. So, I would say they're heroes.
Oh yeah, they're heroes as well. And immediately Paul says, "You're right. I only had 4 kids, 4 brats running around all the time." He said that, but now, when you bring this point up to me, they are part of the Heroes program. Police, fire, military, medical, and education. I could do it in my sleep. I can say it in my sleep now. But it's a great program that we've had here, Joe, for many years. You're familiar with it. And we sponsor in fact, we're on members of the Bucks County Police, the association, and also the Southeastern Police Chiefs Association. And Paul donates to today's golf outing.
Oh, yeah? Yep.
The annual golf outing that Fred Herron had put together with the rest of his assembly of officers. That's down at the Ben Salem Country Club.
Yep. I was hoping to get one of the polos. They're nice clothes. I asked Fred today, and he said, no, we're not doing clothing this year. So
well, we'll have to talk to him about that.
Maybe next year.
Certain people should have those privileges. But it's a great outing. The sun's out there today. Yep. Here's another thing before we get back into some the meat and the potatoes. The weather. Do you realize, I didn't hear that, it's a statistic, but I didn't realize since 150, 160 years that we've had a drought this long. For the month of October, we haven't had one day of rain. And it was the last time we had this occur was about 155, 160 years ago. That's
wow.
incredible.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then the next week, all this week is supposed to be sunny and beautiful, and in the next week as well.
Well, we had, I guess it was the end of September, the remnants of Hurricane Helene that lasted for it felt like a week. It was just constant saturation. But yeah, we're probably due for a storm that's going to knock all the leaves down and clog the sewer drains and everything else pretty soon.
They will. And we'll get our gutter guys out there. We'll get them back to work.
I actually went around last year cleaning some of those grates on the sides of the roads because.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, PennDOT's understaffed in Bucks County for a couple of different reasons. A couple of the state agencies are, frankly, and it's more complicated than just needing more money.
Yeah.
And there were so many of them, and then it was interesting, like kind of digging these out, seeing like years and years worth of dirt and debris and everything, and it was creating like a safety hazard because water would pool on the side of these roads, and you're making like a turn, and you could not necessarily hydroplane, but just a dangerous situation. So a couple of weeks last year, I'd go out Sunday morning when there weren't a lot of cars on the road, and clean 3 or 4 of these up at a time, and just you drive past and you see the efforts of your work there. It was a little interesting thing. I did a little experiment. So if it's necessary, I'll be doing it again this year. But we'll see how bad it is.
That's great to hear. So although he doesn't have any sleeves to roll up, but he does roll. Joe does roll his sleeves up in the community and gets down there and digs, and whatever you need to do, you make that contribution. Talking about your dad for a moment, just to regress back. Your father, what a great volunteer for things too. I mean, the Marine Corps, and he was the president of the
Guardians
Cemetery Gardens International Cemetery.
Yeah, he
for many years.
He brought the Wreaths Across America to Bucks County. He was very involved with the initial group of men that worked to get the cemetery to Bucks County, and that was that was a deal that Mike Fitzpatrick had made during Mike's first term in 2005 and 6, because I think the debate was either it was going to be in Chester County or Bucks, and Mike had to make some work on a deal to get it to come to Bucks, and then the group of men basically started that organization, the Guardians, and after a couple of years, my father became the president of it for a couple more years, and then he kind of retired from that and just took a back seat to a lot of this stuff. He stayed active with the local VFW and American Legion, things like that.
Yes.
But, went into retirement too.
Your father was out there all the time in the communities, any type of charities that he could get involved with. You could count on your father. He was there.
Well, some of my earliest memories of him actually were selling poppies at the grocery store down there in Bristol Borough. I mean, it's been about 5 or 6 different names at this point.
Yeah.
But he probably had me out there on Veterans Day, 5 or 6 years old, trying to collect some donations for everything like that. But yeah, he was very, very involved, and it wasn't just the veterans community. I mean, he was a soccer coach, he was a baseball coach, he was Scoutmaster in Boy Scouts. I mean, he found ways to be active with us. Involved with
just about everything out there. Yeah. He's missed, that's for sure. And there's a lot of good remembrances of your father. Halloween's coming up. We were talking right before the show, the safety features, the safety tactics that we got to be, and tips that we got to share with our listeners out there, because our children, they're so vulnerable. There's so many things to talk about, and you could talk about, I'll start with some of them. Make sure that your children, obviously supervised under an adult or a guardian, but to be with a larger crowd, to make certain that they have nothing flammable on them, with the candles and certain things that may be, out in front of fixtures that are out in front of everyone's home.
There's a lot more decorations these days than when I
so
remember.
Many more.
So
Especially the big ones.
Yeah. Hanging
But
all over the
we
place.
have we sponsor effort. We have ours in 2 weeks. We do trunks for treats.
Okay.
Everybody lines up their car. We line up our cars and decorate them, and the FOP bring their kids up here, and we hand out, which saves them from running around the neighborhood. But it's really a nice little thing we do for them.
Yeah.
You know, maybe have 40 cars decorated.
It's a great little holiday. It's you
Yeah.
get to educate children at a young age that if you put in a little bit of work, you get rewarded. You put on the costume,
Yeah.
you go door to door, you meet your neighbors, and then you get candy out of it. So it's just a real fun event.
It is a fun event.
Yeah.
One of the other things I've noticed, some of the children wear, it's a necklace, it's lit up. So you can see if somebody's coming across the street, you could see something lit around their neck. But you want to be able to, children, for the parents listening out there, you want to make sure that they're identifiable out there, that you know
Yeah.
where your child is or who's going to be supervising them. And cars, the drivers out there, they got to be so careful. And candy. Here's another thing. It's sorry to say, but you have people that are they're horrible. They're criminals, really. Before any of the candy is eaten, make sure that the parents inspect it. Make sure that it's edible and that it's safe. If anything's not wrapped properly, you have to really be careful because today
Yeah, you just don't know.
Yeah,
You just don't know.
you
I mean,
just don't know.
the traffic safety, especially, I live in a pretty dense little area of Langhorne, and I mean, there's cars all along the side of the road. Someone's running out in between or whatever, chasing. I mean, that could be catastrophic. So, I don't like to be driving around my community on Halloween. I'll just stay at home and help hand out the candy with my wife.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true. And with groups, once again, that's very important. Make sure adults know where the kids are going all the time, being responsible. Dogs, be careful with the dogs because dogs sometimes they don't understand it's Halloween, so you don't want to get too close to the doors. If you're, tell your children stay back a little bit.
I mean, obviously, I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's an election in about 3 weeks.
You're kidding me.
Wait a minute. Write that down.
You're
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been knocking a lot of doors. This is one of the ways to campaign. And
Wow.
You'll go up to some of these doors and glass door, right? And then this happened a day or two ago, and just a giant Great Dane just looking out of the glass door, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna knock
think I'll
that
pass
door.
on that
yeah,
one.
Sorry, I missed you.
Yeah.
And I've been bitten by dogs before. I've seen other people be bitten by dogs. Like,
Not a good feeling.
no, and we have a rescue dog ourselves, and she's good in a lot of ways, but she has some like other just I think anxiety behavior because of
They're
don't really-
training.
we don't know what happened with the
Yeah.
first year of her life, frankly, and
Yeah.
we've been trying to work it through her with it, but she goes ballistic when somebody rings the doorbell.
Yeah.
So we gotta,
That's like
come Halloween, we gotta
the
do something
Peter
different.
Sellers movie where he says, "Does your dog bite?" And he says, "No." And the dog bites him. And he says, "Well, that's not my dog."
You asked if my dog bites.
When we were police and we knocked on the door and they had a dog, and they would say to you, "Oh, he doesn't bite." And I would go, "Oh my God, he doesn't have any teeth." And they said, "Yeah, he has teeth." I said, "Then he bites."
Then he bites.
Could you please put him in the other room? Because you never know with a dog. They could be the friendliest dog in the world, but if you touch
Oh,
somebody,
God,
they'll
yeah.
snap at you.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We love dogs. I guess everybody. We have
Wow.
tons of dogs.
We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to talk, Joe, about the Tour of Honor that we're very proudly members of on that cabinet with Joe Saffron and Mike DeBonis. Mike's another great guy. Do you know much about Mike? He was a service officer for many years and fight for the rights of.
I don't know off the top of my head. I may have met him at some
You
point.
probably did.
Yeah.
And Jerry Fretz, who's on our board, he's the director of safety and security at Parks Casino.
Okay.
But the Tour of Honor, we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
The next trip that we have that we're planning is, in fact, going to be April the 7th. It sounds far away, but before you know it,
It's gonna be here.
it's right up upon us.
A lot of planning.
Have you been taken a trip with us yet?
Years ago.
Okay, you did?
Years
You
ago.
went with us?
Yeah, when it
Okay.
was, Mike. I think Mike was still in Congress. I think at that point. I had
Okay,
been
Fitzpatrick.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a picture of Mike and I. So you were involved with the trip one of those
Yeah,
years.
he meets us a lot of times.
Yeah, it's great. Well, Mike's passed now, but Brian.
Brian, I'm
Brian.
thinking.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Brian. Yeah.
I'm bad with names.
No, that's all right. But I remember Mike very well. What a
Yeah.
gentleman.
Oh, the best.
Yep.
I called him the good practicing Catholic. I think he had 7 or 8 children.
Six.
Okay.
Six.
I'm
We
off a
we
couple.
honored him one night over at the Holy Family.
Yes.
We had a party and we honored him.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Great stuff. We're going to take a quick pause to honor some of our and pay tribute to some of our sponsors, such as Paul Muller. You're listening to Let's Go Places on WBCB 1490 and 107.3 on the dial. Don't go anywhere. We have lots more to share with you.
Hi, Paul Muller here, and there's never been a better time to be part of the team. New car inventory is back. We have over 100 new Toyotas ready to drive home today with some of our most popular models available. And with a huge selection of dependable certified used Toyotas, our pre-owned departments are ready to make a deal that works for you. Plus, our award-winning service centers will have you in and out and back on the road in no time. Visit one of our 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton, or online at teamtoyota.net.
Opinions matter, and so does yours. Hi, I'm Joe Fabrizi, inviting you to join us every Monday at 1 p.m. for Opinions Matter, right here on 1490 AM WBCB. Opinions Matter is now live streamed at WBCB1490.com. We want to hear from you because your opinion does matter.
Are you a parrot head?
Away again in Margarita.
Not that kind. That's more like it. If you're this kind of parrot head, don't forget to check out the Denny O Polka Show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon right here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hey, this is Jonesy. Kick off your Thursday and Friday evenings in style. Join me for an eclectic freeform mix of the hits and beyond. It's a happening, a musical journey. It's the Glenn Jones radio experience right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, Thursday and Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., directly following the legendary Jerry Blavitt. Radio, the way it ought to be.
Welcome back to Let's Go Places. Tom Mellon, I'm your host, and Charlie Esposito, my sidekick for many, many years. And we have a special guest here. I'll call him a very special friend, which he is. Not only himself, but his father over for many, many years. State Representative Joe Hogan. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Once again, it's good stuff. But we were going to talk about the group that we're involved with to honor all of our veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So many military in the county of Bucks. There's like 50,000 of our military members who reside here in Bucks County, which is a big county, one of the bigger of the maybe not the biggest in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania has, I think, the first or third most amount of veterans in the entire United States, just for a whole host of different reasons.
Sure.
Yeah, a whole lot here in Bucks County and very vibrant organizations as well. So, yeah, the Tour of Honor. I mean, I remember that a couple years ago, back when it was Honor Flight, and then we created the Tour of Honor for Bucks County more specifically
Yes.
to make it easier to fundraise and be able to, base it here in Bucks County. And
Correct.
And having some of those trips down to Washington, D.C. and going to all those memorials and monuments and that. I lived in D.C. for about 2 years working for Mike, and we would always go down there as a family. And I always loved seeing the National Mall. I mean, it's just whether you're there at 12 o'clock on a hot July day or there at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever, it's a pretty powerful place to be.
What a powerful
Never
place.
gets old.
So much history down there. And, even the monument, as it is, there's a shade that's different. And I questioned somebody, why wasn't it just all in uniform? It was some type of a breakdown or a union strike or something.
Oh, really?
With the Washington Monument, it's like a light tan, and then
Yeah.
it's whiter further
Yeah.
down. But there was some type of an interruption in between, and I guess they couldn't get the same paint.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's one of our trivia questions. You know how many monuments there are in Washington, D.C.?
No, how many?
Take a guess. One. The
Wow.
Washington Monument.
That's it.
Wow.
The
All the
Washington-
rest of them are memorials.
all memorials.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, isn't that
I
something?
guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going through. I mean, we're still slowly cleaning out a lot of my father's stuff, and you have everything in boxes, and I'm going
Sure.
through this. So in 1990, I guess it was two. It was right after H.W. Bush lost the election. It was Veterans Day. My dad and a friend of his were at the wall, actually, and the president showed up. And they got this picture, the three of them, that then was on like VFW magazine or whatever. And when George W. Bush was running, I think it was at New Chamonix High School, he did a rally back in 2000. My dad got W to autograph
Did you? He
this
did.
picture and everything. So yeah, I have that. I have that in my house. I have to figure out what I want to do with it
That's
now.
that's
Yeah.
a good historical remnant.
Yeah.
Well, if you have anything small, anything that is representative of your father, I'd be honored to have it in my. You have to see my office before you leave. It looks like like a studio in there, doesn't
yeah.
it? I mean,
Yeah.
with all the remnants.
You're running out of space, so you better
I
get
am.
it quick.
I am now, but I'd love to have him on the wall as well.
Yeah, I'll see what we can do.
Yeah, in memoriam, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Tour of Honor is great because all of our military, you can only go once because we have so many people on the waiting list. But from its beginning in the early hours of the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, we have our military that show up at Parks Casino, as you know, full breakfast. I don't know, and I'm hoping that there's many military out there who are aware now of the fact that we want you to come so that we can. You fill out an application. I'll give you the number. It's 215-768-6505. That's 215-768-6505. And when you call, someone will answer, one of our representatives, and we'll take your information down. You can come into, this is our new office. Paul Muller actually donated an office upstairs
Oh, really?
for the
Right.
for the Bucks County Tour of Honor.
Oh, wow.
So we have our own office upstairs. We have all of our board meetings here. Paul is on our board. He's one of our honorary board
I
members.
didn't know that.
No, it's a great participation. But when you call that number, if you are a veteran, please give us a call, and you can come in here and just ask for me, Tom Mellon. I'm on the board, and we'll get you an application. They fill it out, and we can share some things now, but there are some secrets that we don't
Yeah.
even like to reveal. It's so heartwarming, so emotional. You were there, and the when you go down to the memorials, it's incredible, especially Arlington Cemetery.
Yeah.
With the honor guard, that's incredible. Did you know that what the characteristics were to be one of the sentinels? I believe it's called.
I think they're sentinels.
Be a sentinel. Anywhere from 5'10" to 5'9", 10", up to 6'3", 6'4". You have to be a certain weight.
30 waist.
30
Really?
waist. You cannot. You have to take an oath that you can never smoke, never curse, never drink. As a sentinel,
Really?
The rest of your life.
the rest of your life. It's
Have to take
lifetime
that-
commitment.
Really?
So this is a true story. We're down I'm watching the ceremony, and I'm talking to Jerry Fretz, who's a retired police captain, and he was a captain in the Navy as well.
Yeah.
And he's standing next to me, and he goes, "You know, Tom, never smoke, never drink, never curse." He says, "You could forget about me ever taking that job, because I violate all three of them all the time."
Today.
It's a true story. But yeah, all the memorials are just fascinating down there. There's so much history.
The
and
changing of the guard is.
Yeah, the
special.
changing of the guard is the best, but the emotions.
No, it's a very important part of American history that you remember the men and women that basically paid the ultimate price
Exactly.
for this country, and instilling those values at a young age, I think helps. It builds patriotism. We're coming up to the 250th anniversary of the United States in 2026.
Okay.
So, and we are in the Philadelphia area, one of only, I think, 2 or 3 cities that are being highlighted to have like official celebrations here. And this is a great time to remind the young people, our country may not be perfect, but we're every day we're trying to be a more perfect union. We're trying to figure it all out. We're not a status quo. We're not static. We're constantly trying to improve ourselves for our community and for the next generation of Americans.
Yes. Yeah. Well said. And as I always tell people, make sure you have parties. You have the Independent Party, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and they always ask, well, what party do you endorse? I said, I'm an American. I'm straight down the middle. There's views on both sides that we can
Yeah,
respect.
we have good friends on both.
Yeah,
Both, we
Yeah.
have friends today running against each other.
yeah, yeah.
So you try not to
Get too involved.
get involved.
You try to, and you learn from one another. I'm
Yeah.
sure you've learned that in the political
Oh,
arena.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a split house. I
You
got-
are. You
yeah.
are. Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
what we admire about you.
Yeah. So it's you can find agreement, you can find disagreement, but I think right now politics is become way too personal, and it's replacing a lot of things. We used to have a lot of I would say like release valves in society. You would have a lot more civic organizations. You'd have just more sports.
Sure.
People want to tune in, and they don't want to be seeing all these ads, and unfortunately that's the name of the game now.
Of course.
But just being able to watch a football game or watch the baseball game, go to a community high school event, right? They don't. Not everything has to be about politics anymore.
It doesn't.
That's so true.
And it's you could sit at a bar at the VFW or American Legion and just talk about you don't have to talk about who's in the White House or who's trying to be in the White House. You can just where are you going hunting this weekend, or maybe we're going to take the boat out for a day or something.
No, you're
like
right.
that.
That's a good
I know
point.
who
And it's
not
just-
to go hunting with, but I'm not going to say his name.
Well, my father was in the Normandy invasion, World War II,
Wow.
and the Greatest Generation.
Yeah.
And he had said to me from a little guy, he said, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. So I'm trying to figure out, well, what's the point here? He said, 2 ears, 1 mouth. If you listen twice as much as you talk, you're going to be much better off in life. You'll learn more.
Mhm.
Just listen to people, and that was one of the things that he would say to me all the time. But yeah.
Very true.
And
Wow.
clean your room. But
Oh yeah,
that's a-
clean your room. Yeah, you better keep your. Yeah, the principles that we've learned with that generation it's a lot different today, and some for the good. Which is when we try to constantly improve with our values and how we raise our children and all. But you have one coming along the way.
Yeah, just a couple of days now. Couple
Wow.
of days.
So it's
yeah.
exciting. Now your wife. Will it be nearby where you? Hospital.
It's going to be Hopewell, New Jersey.
Oh, Hopewell.
That's where
Okay.
she decided. So
Okay.
I
That's
I
great.
stayed out of those conversations. I let her figure all that out.
Your learning's good.
Yeah.
Learn at a young time in your marriage. My wife.
He learned the 3 important words always say to your wife already. You're right, dear.
You're right, dear. And then I
You
live.
say them all the time. You have no troubles at all.
Yeah. And if you live by 2 principles in your house, like in my house, there's 2. Number 1, Jerry, that's my wife's name, is always right. And I would sit there and go, wait a minute, I know of times that she wasn't, but I don't say anything. 2 ears, 1 mouth. And I said, what about the second? She said, if for any reason I'm wrong, refer back to number 1. So if you learn to live by those,
Yeah.
you like that, Bree, didn't you? Yeah. So if you live by those principles, I guess life can be a lot easier. Maybe
Well,
not as fun.
At this point right now, I want life to be easy for the next couple of weeks. So
Yes, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
That's for sure. We're excited for you. Is this
Well,
your
thank you.
first?
This is our first. Yep.
your first one.
Yeah.
Names picked out.
Good
yet?
luck.
Yeah, we have a name, but we're keeping that secret.
That's
Hold
good.
it secret for
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Boy, Pat Wanling would really be upset if you came out with a
Oh,
name and it's not on her show,
Do I have
right,
her-
Bree?
Do we have her on speed dial?
Oh my God! Yeah, it's bad enough that we had you in here before, but it's great. We're going to take another quick pause before we end our show. We'll have 10 minutes or so after that. But you're listening to WBCB 1490 and 107.3 on the dial. My good friend, I'm looking out at him, and it gives me such a warm feeling. Jerry Feeney, who we'll talk about nicknames later, the nicknames that we all had when we were growing up. Even the parents called us certain names. I lost my name, when I was like 17 years old. I went from Tom Mellon to Shark. We'll talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that. But, yeah, I'm glad that he's here. I haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, exactly. But you're listening to WBCB 1490. Let's Go Places with the Honorable Joe Hogan. And, God, we're real happy that you're here. And you promised to come back. Can I hold you to that?
Absolutely.
Hold your feet to the fire, all right?
Absolutely.
We'll return just in a few moments.
Hi, Paul Muller here, and there's never been a better time to be part of the team. New car inventory is back. We have over 100 new Toyotas ready to drive home today with some of our most popular models available. And with a huge selection of dependable certified used Toyotas, our pre-owned departments are ready to make a deal that works for you. Plus, our award-winning service centers will have you in and out and back on the road in no time. Visit one of our 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton, or online at teamtoyota.net.
Are you a parrot head?
Wasted away again in Margaritaville.
Not that kind. That's more like it. If you're this kind of parrot head, don't forget to check out the Denny-O Polka Show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon right here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hey, this is Jonesy. Kick off your Thursday and Friday evenings in style. Join me for an eclectic freeform mix of the hits and beyond. It's a happening, a musical journey. It's the Glenn Jones Radio Experience, right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, Thursday and Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., directly following the legendary Jerry Blavitt. Radio, the way it ought to be.
13 minutes, that's good.
We're back with Let's Go Places, sharing some old stories of the neighborhoods, and it's a lot of fun. It really is growing up.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one ever really did a television series about, especially Levittown in the 50s and 60s. I think that
It would be a bestseller.
yeah, I think it'd be a very interesting
Wasn't that Benny
little
Hill?
drama
That wasn't
or
it.
something like that.
No, it wasn't Benny. It's funny what you just said. I have maybe 20% of it completed.
Mm-hmm.
I'll reveal something. I think I mentioned it to Jerry, and it's called Mayfair.
Okay.
It's just the name of it. I just put it down, Mayfair. And I didn't want to flower anything up. And I'm starting to type in things because it's quicker than writing. Of all the experiences I had in growing up, both spiritually, intellectually, growing up as kids, experiences that we've had, neighbors, how they, operated, sports activities, fun time. And eventually, when I get it all completed, I'll give it to Jerry, my best friend. We'll put it all together. And who knows, maybe some author will say, Mayfair, that's a pretty big town, big area at one time. A lot of politicians grew up in that area. Jimmy Lloyd, I don't know if you remember the name.
No.
At one time, Mayfair was the far northeast.
Yeah, it was. It was. And
70
there was-
years ago.
Yeah, Holmesburg, Mayfair,
They used to
Torresdale.
call that the far northeast.
Hmm.
And look at how far we spread from that.
Yeah, a lot of interesting characters that grew up and emanated from into stardom.
Yeah, it just seems like that whole era, kind of is ripe for some very interesting storytelling. So
Oh my God, yes.
probably a lot of truth to it. I mean, you can probably embellish a little bit of it, but I
Yeah.
think that would make some great television or a great book or something.
Yeah, true. You could get certain. You're right. I mean, could you imagine if we had a television series like that, Mayfair? I know a lot of people
Maybe
would watch it.
we'll start brainstorming after the election and
Let's
the
do-
baby's here. Yeah, we'll
You're
sit
in.
down. Yeah,
You're in.
yeah,
We'll get you on
start.
our little council
Yeah,
board.
yeah, perfect.
It's great because then you watch so much of Chicago Fire and they're great. Don't get me wrong, they're great shows on television, but I think we need a little more spice. The roots of certain neighborhoods, if we can lift them up and share stories, I think a lot of people would be interested in
Yeah,
it,
absolutely.
especially the ones who have survived and were still out there. So I'm glad you like that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
That's a great idea. I don't know about you, Charlie. I mean, well,
I like it. I like
yeah.
it. Especially,
Bree's
you know,
nodding
Mayfair
her,
was
Bree's nodding her head.
a lot of Irish there, a lot of.
There was a lot of cultures in Mayfair.
There was a lot of places you can go to
Makes for
enjoy-
great
at
storytelling.
night to have a good time.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah, they're still there.
Yeah, they are. If you went down to the neighborhood and you did something wrong, before it got back to the house, a neighbor would come out and
Before
and
you
get
got
a little,
back.
you'd get a little boot in the butt.
Before you
I don't
got
know if that
back.
happens anymore.
Before you
not
got
anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
It's
before
a
you-
shame. It's a shame that it doesn't occur as much, but we learned that the discipline that was enforced back then, we survived. I'm not walking around limping or anything. They would look at, and some people just had to a neighbor would just have to give you a look, and you knew, oh, geez, I better just calm down, and take a walk, and realize that they're looking at you for a reason.
When your parents gave you that look, you was in terror.
Oh yeah.
They gave you that. They didn't have to say anything. They just gave you that look.
Right. That's true. Boy, I'm going to jot that down, Joe. You're going to be part of the council.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Today, Ben Salem Country Club. We're going to have a lot of our leaders, community leaders there, and all of our police leaders. We went down early to drop off Paul Muller. He's doing, as we do with all of our organizations, if someone happens to hole a par 3, they win a vehicle, a RAV4, 2-year lease. It's great. It gives you, it stimulates you a little bit. Let's see how close I can get to the hole.
Yeah. Well, today I don't know if anyone's going to make it. It seems a little windy and a little brisk.
Oh, it was cold this morning.
It was cold when we were there earlier.
I don't golf. I can't hit the ball.
I'm watching the trees. They're still moving out there.
Frustrating.
Yeah, I can drive the golf cart and help people out with stuff like that.
That's smart. It's a nice day when you're out there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And now with the technology, I see these golf carts driving around. I don't see any wires. That's the old man in me. But, nothing's plugged in. Well, everything's all, I guess, up in the air with the cloud, and they got these speakers right on their golf carts. So it's like stereo music when they pull up to a hole. It's kind of neat. Yeah, it's kind of neat. Safety Blue Alert.
Yep.
I know we have 10 minutes or 9 minutes or so. Safety Blue Alert. I am so happy to be a partner in this because of all the different direction, the positive direction I can provide retired in law enforcement. But this device, this product, is going to be installed into the light bars of every police vehicle. Now, unfortunately, when you look at the FBI statistics, we've lost more than 71 lives over the past year across the country just from assaults to police officers sitting in their vehicle. I remember in Charlie, you remember, you're sitting in your vehicle, you're vulnerable because at any time you don't know what's going on with your surroundings. You can think that you know, but especially today, Joe, Joe Gall, he's a Marine Corps military veteran from Vietnam. He thought about this for a long time. What can I do to maybe put a product together to help save lives? And he came up with it, and son of a gun, if he didn't get a patent on it. And we joined forces. I'm a partner in this. The Safety Blue Alert, when it's installed into the light bar, it goes out 1,000 feet. Can you imagine this radar imagery? And what it can do is it can let the officer know what's out there, whether it's vegetation, whether it's an animal, or maybe a possible assailant. And what it does is it sends a direction to the dispatcher, and it sends a warning to the police officer in the car. 1,000 feet, each, 360
Circle.
degrees, circle. We're going to be doing a demonstration at Core Creek Park. I don't know if you wanted to happen to stop by. It's from 12 to 3 on Friday at Core Creek. And we'll have 5. Joe Bartarilla's he's the pioneer, part of the cornerstone of this product, because this will transcend nationally and militarily as well. Can you imagine some of the tanks and some of the Humvees that when we install this device, they'll see what's out there that they haven't been able to see before, the enemy or whatever. So it's a great product.
Yeah, any type of equipment like that's going to save lives. I mean, we're happy to be supportive of it in Harrisburg, and I was reading a little bit about this technology and thinking about some of the these incidences, whether it was in Philadelphia or New York City, where, to your point, law enforcement officers just sitting in the car, maybe sipping coffee, and somebody just comes up and shoots them in the face.
Oh.
We lost quite a few officers just sitting in their car. Officer Trench and Sion. What is it? We can go name them all, but we're not.
And all.
Yeah, and having this type of technology is it obviously it saves lives, but it can save innocent people's lives. It can save an assailant's life. I mean, I generally think it's good when we save lives,
yes,
whoever they are.
Absolutely.
But, any type of technology like this sounds very interesting. I'm glad it's being pioneered here in Bucks County.
Yes.
It's so far advanced as things they have now. It could go, the distance alone is great, and it could go see through bad weather. Nothing like that interferes with it.
It can penetrate
You
any
have to
atmospheric.
see it.
Any atmospheric conditions that are out there, fog, snow.
Pouring.
It cuts right through all of it permeates right through, so that if an officer, no matter where he may be parked, doing a report, doing different things, it's a safety
Yeah, he's
mechanism.
not a sitting target, or she's a sitting
Right.
target.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even on like Motor Harbor, the boats that are out on the water, we can use it for that as well, because
really?
it can shoot down into the water. And it could shoot, well, not that we have submarines that are popping up on the Delaware River.
I hope
But,
not.
it helps if this device, once it's engaged, can really provide safety
Mm-hmm.
and the assurance. A lot of people that we're short of police officers. When people hear that we have more safety for them, maybe that will trigger their incentive to become a police officer.
Well, we were talking earlier in the show about all the heroes and everybody, and all
Yes.
the different types of professions here, and there's a shortage of all of them.
Oh my God,
And
yes.
I think we need more people to be heroes in different ways. There's it's no shock that the military right now is having a recruiting crisis. That's every branch. It's very public. Teachers are the same thing. We've done
Yeah.
a lot in Harrisburg to try to make it easier for young people to become teachers. A lot of bipartisan initiatives to try to do that, make it easier in Pennsylvania. Firefighters, our volunteer firefighters, they're struggling to find recruits. We're moving to like a paid service, but even that we're struggling to find people. And emergency medical services, it's the same thing. These are very good professions. They serve a very critical role in our community, and we need more people to step up and be a hero.
Oh, no question about it. And well said. Every one of those professions, we see the diminishing factor right now, and the attrition rate when people are retiring. We need to fill that position. You and I, 20. Where was it? The 30. No, was it 39th district? The 22nd and Hunting Park in North Philadelphia.
We took
cookies there.
Cookies for cops.
Cookies for
Oh, yeah.
cops. We do that from time to time. So we go into the operations room, but before we went in, there had to be 18 police cars parked. So I said to Charlie's, it's not roll call.
Yeah, it's too late for
It was too late for roll call. So whoever stood roll call, they're out in the street. Where are these? Why aren't these cars out in the street? We went in and talked to the lieutenant, and the lieutenant said, we only have two officers in all of the North Philly region.
39th district. We're talking not one of the finer,
Yeah.
That's insane.
tough district.
These are things people aren't aware of sometimes.
No, and I'm getting all kinds of ads for the Philadelphia Police Department to competitive starting salary.
We got another one going on now.
We're in Harrisburg. Last year's budget, we made it easier for the state police to recruit new people.
Good.
We changed some of the requirements. We did the same thing for the Philadelphia Police Department temporarily, just to get more people in, so that they can meet the requirements, do the training, and then get to the standards that they need to be at.
Sure.
But you're removing that initial hurdle, and that meant 400 new state police troopers are coming through, because we're making
That's
it easier,
good.
and hopefully
Great
the
job.
same thing with
Great job.
Philadelphia.
We're at the end of the show. Can you believe how quick that
That
shoots
flies by.
But I want to thank you, our audience, I'm sure, our listenership, I'm sure, This is streamed on Google, right? You can bring it up at any time, live stream.
YouTube.
WBCB, Tom Mellon, live stream, and all of our shows come right up. Believe me, some of them they're fantastic. This one in particular right now. You're listening to State Representative Joe Hogan. He's going to be coming back, and we'll get the word out there so that you'll know some of our guests that are going to be coming on. I guess you'll be headed down to the golf outing.
Not
If you
quite.
can or not quite.
Yeah. A few more stops to make
A
today.
few more stops to make,
Yeah.
but we were happy to have you here
Thanks
today,
for having
Joe.
me.
Oh my
Thank
God,
you.
it's
Thanks for having me.
phenomenal. As I say at the end of all of our shows, Charlie, your words of wisdom were certainly appreciated. I want to thank all of our listeners on behalf of Paul Muller here at Team Toyota in Langhorne. Thank you. And as I say at the end of all my shows, be safe, stay well, don't text while you drive. Jerry, I'm coming home to walk the dog soon. And most importantly, God bless America.